Alright, this is your boy Lamar Spacey, and this is another installment of Space Invader TV. And today we have a special guest here with me. Actually, we're here live at the Garden. We're here with my man's Congress.
Yes, sir.
Some people.
What's going on?
Or
Glad to be in the space with you.
Or I'm glad to be here, man. Thanks for the invite.
For sure.
So lately, I've been having to take things on the go. So this Space Invader TV, we taking things elsewhere. Now, one thing I just want to ask, well, how are you feeling today? How's the pandemic been treating you?
It's a good day. I can't complain. The pandemic, it was definitely like adjusting like everybody. But in the midst of it, I've definitely just been chilling, cool, and getting my stuff done. And that's really, I feel like what it's been, just a good time to reflect, a good time to figure out what's important to you and shit.
So everything's right with you. Your mental health is good. Your physical health is good. Now, this is your first, well, not really your first time being on Space Network program. You were on an earlier Space Invader TV episode. It was a performance in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
A while back. But now we can get a little bit of an in-depth story about you. So,
For sure.
let's start a little bit from the beginning, then, we'll jump around here and there. So, let's go into your origins a little bit. Like, where are you from?
Okay. I'm from Allentown, PA. So I was born in Lancaster, PA, but I lived here since I was 4. So pretty much grew up here, went to school here, elementary, middle school, high school. Started making music when I was like 15, 16. So literally right when I knew I wanted to make music since I was like 13, 14. But right when I started making music, I linked up with Mo, and we started RTU. And I think he knew he wanted to make music for a little bit. That was really when he first started too. So we linked up. We spent like a year and a half just kind of like figuring out the basics, producing, songwriting, recording, like how it all gets done. And then within like a year, we put out a few tracks on SoundCloud, Mantra.
And what's this time frame? Like, what year is this?
It was like 2017. Summer 2017. So we didn't put out our first song on SoundCloud till a year later, 2018. And then like a song that people actually started listening to till like another year, 2019. So.
And what was the real driving force for you to get into music? Because just by looking, you don't look like the average dude that people think is a musician.
I don't know. It was kind of. That's actually a good question, but a hard question I feel like to answer. It was definitely something I wanted to do since I was younger.
I like asking the difficult questions.
Yeah, it was something I wanted to do since I was younger, but never really acknowledged too much. Like I would put it on the back burner just because, like, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff that comes with trying to make art in any way or form. So yeah, I don't know. I wanted to do this since I was younger, and then I guess just like people I looked up to and kind of aspired to be in a way. So like Kanye, Tyler, Frank, seeing their work and being like, I think I could kind of do something like that. So let me take it serious. Those
are some of your main influences right now?
Yeah, for sure. I would say just in general, I listen to a ton of people.
Now, the Running to Utopia collectives. Now, did you and Mo just link up off the music shit, or did you have a previous relationship?
Yeah,
prior?
So our good friends JJ and Lewis, or Suo and Lewis, I met them in high school, but Mo's been friends with them since he was like a kid, since like early middle school. And yeah, so he knew them kids, and I met them in high school. And I guess like he lived in Virginia for a little bit, so he would go up and down from Virginia in the summers. Like he'd be down here in the summers, up there during the school year. So just like off the strength of knowing them, we kind of like linked up, and then I just hit him up because I knew he was into similar things. Like, yo, what do you think about starting this collective? And it was honestly probably one of the first conversations, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, it was just off the strength.
Y'all just knew, like, y'all just wanted to create art. It wasn't really nothing like just a hangout crew, not one of these street gangs. Y'all really wanted to pursue something.
Exactly. It was very, from the start, it was like, all right, what are our ideas? We're gonna make an EP, like a bunch of stuff that didn't fall through, or it did, but it was just creative work all from jump.
So now with everything's running to Utopia, now y'all style, y'all have a very unique style. Y'all incorporate a little bit of singing. Yeah, man, this neighborhood shit, just ignore that. But y'all have a very unique, interesting style. Y'all incorporate a little bit of singing and with the hip hop feel. How do you build the confidence to hit them vocals the way you do? Because I ain't gonna lie, I fuck with it. You know what I mean? And not too many guys, like actual dudes, have the confidence to get on the track and do that. So, what does it take for you to build up that confidence?
To build up the confidence is really just to trying it, like doing it a few times and being like, this don't sound half bad, and then you keep listening to it, and hopefully if you're making something good, you end up liking it. But also too, I listened to like a lot of Chris Brown when I was younger. A lot of stuff my mom was playing was like R&B, soul, so a lot of singing was like stuff that I heard and liked when I was a kid. So I think I always kind of aspired to do it, but like you said, just a lot of males don't really tap into the confidence to be able to start hitting notes and kind of singing. I guess it could be seen as something that's more feminine. But
yeah, everybody's got to find that balance. Everybody needs that balance of the feminine and the masculine energy. So now, let's get into that a little bit. So like, what did you grow up on? Like, what was played in your house regularly?
So a lot of different stuff. My mom listened to, like I said, a lot of like radio music, but R&B and like soul, like Usher, Aaliyah, Chris Brown, a bunch of just stuff that was like
Q-Tip.
Yeah, very, very put on in the 2000s, late 90s. But also listened to a lot of Spanish music. So I don't know. I never really picked up or started listening to like Spanish music on my own lane, but it was something that we listened to a lot. My aunt put me on to like 50 Cent and like a bunch of like early 2000s rap. So that's kind of where I got my early rap influences from. So it was a bunch of different stuff, just kind of. But my family's very youthful. Like my mom had me when she was 21. All my aunts are super young, so they were just listening to what was hot at the time. Really.
Or yeah, my mom had me, I believe, around the same age, 21. Yeah, I have my older brother, 18. Now that's another thing. So, what is your culture, your ethnicity?
So I'm Puerto Rican, with like Afro-Caribbean roots. So my grandma's black and Puerto Rican.
Okay, word.
It goes deeper than that. It's a lot of stuff that's kind of mixed within there. Puerto Rican just in general, like a lot of things, but it's pretty culturally mixed. But I try to acknowledge all roots, just to stay true to myself.
Cause just get into my next thing. Cause physically looking, how am I going to go into this? So, in some of your songs, right?
Yeah.
You use the word nigga.
Yes.
And physically looking, you could pass.
Light in complexion.
Yeah. Yes. So, and this is just me asking because now you laid it all out. You explained it because that has been something that's been on my mind. Like, do you ever feel like maybe I should cut back on saying it when you're around, let's say, like darker skinned people or just black people in general? Or is it something that you feel like, hey, maybe I should just embrace my culture a little bit more, whether it's negative or positive, good or bad? Know what I mean? Yeah. I am that, even though I may not look it. How do you go about that?
I'd say I'm definitely kind of more on that end of the spectrum where it's like, let me embrace my culture. It's also something that's kind of, it was never like a, let me say nigga, you know what I mean? It was like,
you're not one of them dudes
that I didn't choose to say. It was something that I was called in my upbringing, something that people were saying around me. So it's part of like, let me embrace my culture and stay true to myself. But I do like to be mindful of just, how I speak in general around anybody and how it could come off regardless of what it may seem or may not seem. So,
word.
I like to be respectful and keep things neutral, but at the end of the day, I do want to stick to my roots and just be who I am. You know what I mean?
Where I definitely respect that. And that was a great answer too, because some people they'll trip on that answer or even giving an explanation like that. So I definitely respect that. So
no, and it is something too that's like I'm aware of. You know what I mean? I know what I look like. I know what people tend to see me as. So it's like it's not something that hasn't crossed my mind. So
yeah. So you're definitely one of the people that you don't turn a blind eye when social injustice is going on. You feel just as strongly, no matter the complexion.
Of course, yeah, because it's all like, for like saying it's my people too. I very well look at what's going on in the world and see my people, see people I love. So I completely get it.
Word. That's what you got the March Forward shirt on, right?
Yeah, word. Shouts out to Ramen.
Yeah, what's up with Ramen? I haven't seen him in a little while. What's going on with him?
I don't know. I think he's just minding his way, you know, getting work done. But Ramen's always cool. We talk all the time, so he's chilling. He's good. He's healthy.
Or salute to Ramen, man. Hope you doing well out there.
You know, get back to work. But nah, he's working for sure. He got a lot of stuff coming. So.
Word. So let's get back to the music.
Word.
Now, earlier today, I tagged you in a story, one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah.
So, moving to New York. And before we started recording, you recently told me that you might be moving to New York, or that you are moving to New York. So, if you can give any details about that, what's going on with the big move, and that song, man, it's just a great song.
Word. So I guess I'll start with the song. I made that song probably when I really started wanting to go to New York a few years ago in 2018, and it was just kind of like I was still living with my mom at the time. So it was just when I kind of first came upon it, like, yo, I want to do this, but I realized I wasn't really that responsible person yet that could do that. You know what I mean? Make that
Wasn't
set.
the time yet.
Yeah, and I was really young. I was 18. But yeah, fast forward a few years later, that's something that still remained with me. Just wanting to make that move happen, and just because it's somewhere that I think culturally resonates a lot with me. I have a lot of family that's from New York, but also just a lot of influence, music influence, just how stuff is out there that inspires me.
Or I love going out there myself. So, like, what are some of the just little activity that you get into while you out there?
Honestly, I don't know I'm not too tapped into like what goes on out there, so I'm not really out there like doing
Not too
stuff,
often,
yeah, or too often, or just really busy when I'm out there. But I'm just kind of enjoying it, like taking it in. I think it's so lively, and it's like you can go in the subway and there's people playing music, or how convenient everything is, so you can get around really easily. You can make moves happen really easily. It's an array of different people, you know what I mean? So that's why I think stuff happens out there and moves as quickly as it does. So that's kind of what the point is for me, just to expand and keep growing creatively.
I respect that. Now, Broadcast to Utopia, such a brilliant idea, so innovative. How did y'all come up with the idea to do something like that, and what are the future plans for Broadcast Utopia?
So that idea stemmed from we just kind of liked playlists and like listening to like mixes, and there was cool things like Frank did like Blonded Radio. That was really cool and inspired us.
So that's what it would be considered, not really like a station, but a playlist.
Well, that's kind of what it originated as. So at first we were just making playlists on Spotify with like we would upload like tracks, but they were just voice cuts of us talking, and we would put them in between the playlists. So as you were listening to the playlist, you hear like a cut of us talking and get back to the songs. So it started off as that, but we kind of realized that wasn't accessible to everyone if you didn't have Spotify. Also, if you didn't like listening to playlists, it was kind of like a weird, unorthodox way of doing it. So we were like, yo, why don't we just make mixes? So yeah, me and Mo started just tapping into making mixes, and we started uploading those to SoundCloud, and that's what it is now. So yeah, we're inspired by mad stuff. Trying to think of some playlists some mixes that I listen to. There's the FA Radio, it's like IFE.
And that's on Spotify?
I think that's on YouTube.
Okay.
That's on YouTube. There's like the Boiler Room, of course, that's on YouTube. Not other stuff that we just tap into to get inspiration.
It's like OVO Sound Radio, something like
yeah,
that.
it's similar, just like DJ mixes and stuff like that.
Okay, word.
And for as far as like future plans, hopefully we start to. Right now we make all our mixes on FL Studio, so mostly Mo, because I'm not too tapped in, but I've been learning here and there and get my hands on it. It's just all within the program, but we want to start actually getting equipment, hopefully doing live sets, and just actually doing events and stuff where we're DJing rather than rapping or performing.
Now, and that's one thing. Got just maybe like 2 more music questions left.
Yeah.
Now, it does seem like Mo, he's in tune with a lot of the background stuff while he does appear on tracks a lot. But he also has Mo Gardens, his solo lane going. And while it's still the collective, and and he does what he does, you're on the forefront of a lot of songs. But do you ever see yourself going into a lane where you're just releasing a Congrade EP? Do you see that happening?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, very soon. So I don't like to speak on things before they're done.
Yeah, you don't have to give out all the sauce.
Yeah, word. So, but yeah, no, I definitely make a lot of solo music. If you're around me, I'll probably send you songs. I'll probably send you some stuff. But
Yeah,
nah, I make a lot of solo tracks, and it's definitely stuff coming soon. But yeah, I just like to take my time, live in the moment. So yeah, music very soon. But it's definitely something we acknowledge ourselves, I think, as independent artists before we even acknowledge ourselves within the collective. So I think from like a lot of people know us as the collective, but we all just definitely take the time to work independently and take on our own individual projects.
Now, speaking of independent work, recently this past week you released a little art collection. Get into that a little bit. It was an art collection. You had some pieces there. You also had apparel. You had one of them fishy hats too.
Yeah, word. So that's called the Sensible Characters Art Collection. I just pretty much wanted to make like a collection of art with like a few different characters. So it's called Sensible Characters because it's kind of like I feel like they each all have their own characteristics in a way. They give you vibes of like people that you could probably meet in real life. Just like one represents like a real spiritual being with like a third eye. The other one's kind of like an earth figure with like a suit and tie. It kind of reminds me of like your boss or something like that. So that's kind of what the idea behind it was. And then the fish beanies was just like, oh, I could probably add this with it just to make it a little bit cooler of an experience. I just feel like it complements the art well.
So you always said you always love creating and being an artist.
Yeah.
Was there ever a difficulty finding a balance between making what you might call actual physical art and making music, or is it just the right mesh? It's just perfect.
So it's one of those things where it's like I definitely kind of thought about it like, does it look right to make music and then put out like paintings, for instance? But I just think it's like if you like doing both, do both, and hopefully if there's people out there that support you, they'll support you either or. That's kind of how I see it. So yeah, I just try to do what I like to do, try to create whatever it is that I'm feeling at the time. But music's definitely what I put on like the forefront and what I like to do and probably what I'll do for the longest.
Okay, I respect that. So is there any future art projects that you have in mind, or like what is it exactly that you want to do with the art, and where do you want to take that?
So yeah, it's kind of like even I have pretty much my personal brand is Shiny Fishbowl, and it's what I pretty much how I describe to people is it's multimedia experiences designed to reflect and inspire creative expression. So pretty much I just want to make experiences. So if I'm doing a gallery and I have music playing from like a set I made or something like that, or being able to do shows and incorporate visual art. So it's just bringing that world together and being able to give people like a feeling through different mediums, as opposed to just being like, I make art strictly or I make music strictly. It's kind of creating a world.
I think I can do it all.
Yeah.
It's about finding that right balance
for sure.
Okay, I respect that. And you do have a website, you do have a domain for all this stuff that people can find, right? You want to tell the people.
ShinyFishbowl.com for the website. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter at ShinyFishbowl.
And we'll definitely have we'll have the links down in the description of the video so y'all can go check it out. And another thing I wanted to get into was home base. Good people of home base.
Family, I love those people.
How did you get into that gig, and how's it benefited what you're doing creatively?
I love that you actually asked me that question because it's not something I get to talk about often.
And I had to wear this shirt today. I had to represent a little bit.
Word, I need the NCT you got you on the back.
NCT, I hope y'all can see that a little bit.
Yeah, so home base has been definitely one of the greatest experiences so far in my life. It's the first job I would say that I actually got to, like, it didn't really feel like work. It's kind of like, mind you, this work that you do there, I'm a sales associate, so I'm not doing anything too creative there, but it just allowed me to be free, be in an environment that I like, and it's also teaching me real life, skills, things that I learned from Andy as a business owner and entrepreneur, his own light, seeing how he works with Armani and the rest of the team to make some of these dope projects happen, seeing how he works with like some of his Nike reps and all these people to make these to get these drops in the store, and just how he navigates that world and how it all comes together, street culture, skate culture. It's been a real dope experience working there. And how it all came about was I moved to Bethlehem in 2019. I was living there for like 3 months, and home base was probably a few blocks away. So I went in there and Jaden was working there at the time, and I asked him if they were hiring. She was like, oh, we're actually looking for somebody to model for second base, and I was already cool with Armani, and we did Soho to the Valley too at second base. So we met Andy prior.
I think I was there, Soho to the Valley too. Where a couple.
But yeah, we met Andy briefly a couple times. So it was kind of we were kind of familiar, but it wasn't anything we were really knew each other or had that connection yet. So yeah, I just asked about that. I kept in touch with Jaden and Armani, and I think I even stopped in at Andy on the store one time. So it took a little bit, but then they finally hit me up for that. So me and Mo actually started doing a lot of the second base shoots. So if you were paying attention to their Instagram, we were in a lot of their just modeling stuff for their website, for their Instagram, and then eventually Andy asked us to intern. So me and Mo both interned there for a little bit. And then eventually I actually started working there. I think Mo was just working his regular job at the time. But yeah, I just started working there, and I've learned a lot since, a lot of great lessons just about just being, what's the word? I'm trying to think, this is a specific word I got on the tip of my tongue. Just being compassionate with your work, being compassionate with the people that you come in contact with, because it's really about caring for others and making it and building a community. And I think that's what Andy's done really well, what I've been able to learn from. So
that's one thing I've taken on. So shout out to Andy and the good people over at home base and second base. It's another aspect that I've seen you've gotten into. Pretty boy con. Know what I mean? Let your hair flow. Know what I mean? Taking these nice pictures. How much do you like modeling? Is it something new for you, or have you always been into photography and stuff like that?
I've always done kind of small freelance modeling stuff since I was 16. I did this little I interned for this little thing that was going on in the mall. They had a little runway set up. It was kind of cool. I did a few little trade shows and just for people's brands and stuff like that. So I've always kind of dibbled and dabbled with it here and there. But I definitely like to model. It's something that I hope to get into more, especially with this move to New York, hoping to make connects out there. I know that's kind of a bigger playground for it. But yeah, it's something I like to do more of. It's a cool way of expression sometimes. I like the aspect of photography sometimes too, and just being able to kind of I guess display certain emotions and aesthetics through pictures and photos and stuff.
I respect that, because I've been trying to get into a little bit of modeling myself. I think I have a face for it, so.
Nah, yes, get me in there now. Bro, you can do your thing. You already.
Word. So this has been a pretty good episode so far. So I think we can get ready to wrap it up here. Is there anything that you want the people to look out for that you can speak on? Mm-hmm. Is anything you're nervous about going into the future? And just
yeah, for sure.
Any positive words for people?
We're definitely music coming very soon, so I would just say don't forget about me. I'm not gonna promise anything just yet, but music very soon. A lot of stuff just coming in the future. I'm always working, so yeah, y'all see me for sure. Much love, peace always.
This has been another episode of Space Invader TV with Lamar Space and my boy Kaale.
Peace.